Okay, here's what we're going to do with this reading. Take a deep breath. We're going to take a look at something you're currently understanding in your life, and then some input from spirit about that. Okay? And this is going to be pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, pick 5. Pick 1 says generator. That's a energy type in human design, generator. That's pick 1. Pick 2 is first house. That would just be the first house when you're looking at an astrology wheel. That's what it's referencing. That's number 2. Number 3 is Metis. This is one of Zeus's counterparts. She was the wise one and actually saved Zeus by giving him some advice that won him the war, or the particular war that he was involved in. And then we have air. Air is the Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. You know, those signs are air, but this is the element air. And then we have the sign of Scorpio for number 5. Scorpio energy there. You don't have to be a Scorpio. You don't have to be any of these signs to choose this. If this would be like Aries energy, if you were interested in choosing in that way. But just use your own intuition to decide if one of these has a message for you. Maybe more than one has a message for you. And only take what resonates, because this is a general reading. So you're looking for just something that's helpful, something that brings you insight, inspiration, relief, anything like that. Other than that, just leave it. That would be my advice about the reading. Okay. So, now that we know the rules of participating, let's continue. I'm going to ask the astrological oracle for some insights into what's going on with you. Pick 1. Those who picked generator. Oh, unrequited love. Blind desire. Being mistaken for love. Blind desire being mistaken for love. Okay, this is interesting. The mythology of Clytia is that she blindly desired someone who did not want her back. She really did love him, though. But she didn't spend the time loving herself. Her blind desire led her away. Let's see. Maybe this was, you know, an adventure in feelings, in how to feel, and I feel like you felt guided through this, so it wasn't like the situation was not worth experiencing. You saw below the surface of a certain energy pattern that's been happening, and you took quite an adventure to go look at it and see where it could be cut off at the root. Like, what causes a person to use blind desire in the place of love to go forward. Okay. Unrequited love. So that would suggest that the advances or the love was not returned. So looking at all the reasons for that, and then finding a way to overcome them so that those lower density ways of handling things like this don't have to continue to loop on Earth, that they can be put an end to it. You're taking your ability to respond to a difficult, painful pattern that continues on Earth, which involves rejection and disappointment and wasted time and even annoyance. And you're bringing it to some higher view, a view that humanity can digest more easily. You're recognizing the opportunity for new growth with taking the old ways of responding to a new, higher way that includes honoring of everybody, honoring of even the darker side of people, that often is getting indulged when that kind of a dynamic is present. Showing people how to live in their integrity, live in accordance with their values. That would be like the wisdom that you can gain from an adventure like this, which, depending on which side you've been on this, depending on which side you've been on this, which side you've been on in this, you know, you'll have a different feeling about it. But the point is to come into balance, so both sides should be looked at and felt, and just clean up the old ways of handling things with new ways to feel about things like this. Maybe even looking at the fact that, like, actual love feels more like contentment. That it really does open you up towards interference when you don't honor your own self and your own needs in the equation of pursuing something. When you lack boundaries, there will be difficulties not only for yourself but others. When you blindly go forward into territory that's not welcoming of you, it can waste time. And if you have mistaken love, lust for love, you know, I think it could really take you off track. But this is kind of looking like you've been given the energy to alchemize it, so bring it up to a higher meaning, bring it up to a higher level, bring it up to a higher understanding than has been done already. Like, what can this situation afford us as humanity to understand and know from the angle that you experienced it from? Wow, okay. Let's see. Let's go to these cards and see what else Spirit has to say about this. I have a lot of cards here, okay? So, I'm just gonna do this. I think I will be putting those back in the bucket for each pile. Let's see what Spirit has to say about this that you've been on here. Your health may have been affected by this pattern, which seemed to go on for a long time, of maybe like, yeah, unrequited love, waiting, giving of yourself, expecting something in return. I gotta lay these out and try to get into the flow here. Gosh, it's like you're going down into the dark and you're looking at the real reason why things come about the way they do, and you're translating it into light. You're translating darkness into light by neutralizing the polarity, understanding it. This is a skill, a talent that you have. You're utilizing Hermetic principles, and you're using a lot of care and love, unconditional love, to do it. What you focus on, you're getting more of. You are here to do this. Things will change very rapidly as a result. You are a leader, and there's no need to have guilt about being in this pattern because you came to alchemize it, so you had to be in it. It was You know, we don't have to look at it like it was a burden, but it was definitely our responsibility. Our ability to respond warranted us dealing with this on this level. This required us to work with others. You know, leadership is a tandem experience. And the experience has also been had to be filtered through a lens of lack. So it took enormous strength to break out of this inherited ancestral karmic line. And a part of the ancestry is dying. The part that would be so selfless, that would not put themselves in the equation. And this will just be a memory from now on. So that the family line can be free to understand what true love is, what love really is. And that it's emotionally regulating self is self's job, that we decide how we want to feel, and that we do whatever it takes inside of us to rearrange what we have to get to the point where we can be present with ourselves in every now moment, through whatever comes our way, through whatever difficulty, whatever guidance we're being led down, whatever union we are being guided to, whatever payoff we're being promised, whatever light that we're shining, whatever we're communicating on a day-to-day basis by being in the now moment. It's our responsibility to do it. We decided and signed up for it. This is part of it. What you're doing is part of what you said you wanted to do. You're doing it. You're ending something in the family line that needed to be ended. It took someone very powerful, strong, with these understandings of the laws of the universe and this willingness to sacrifice self and time in order to make the understandings that needed to be come to, the conclusions that needed to be found in order to make changes in the pattern that had been haunting the family ancestry for time and time and time. Wow. Okay. Well, that is going to complete your reading, pile 1, and I hope that is helpful to you in some way. And I'm going to keep going and move on to pick number 2. Okay, pick number 2. I'm going to ask the astrology oracle first for some information about what's going on with you right now. What are you in the process of understanding? What are you in the process of understanding? Okay, we've got love, amour, and then drama, grief, loss of love, a lost love, heartbreak perhaps, a loss, death. That forcing things to happen can cause unnecessary drama and lead you off the path of the things you love. And when you're in doing the things you love, you're in the flow. You're in the flow of love, and it feels just like being in love. And there's no stipulations and judgments and pending doom upon you if you don't complete something that's expected. It's like, it just is. You may be transcending a food sensitivity and looking at something from some certain angle that you hadn't seen it before, which is kind of loosening up the way you feel about something. It's like maybe if you've found, like, this isn't the reality of what I'm saying is happening for you, but I'm going to use this as an example to kind of give you an idea so you can place it in your life. But like, say you were told something was bad for you, and then you went through life avoiding it because someone said it was bad for you, but then you found out it wasn't really bad for you. You know, it's like that could be a way of transcending a food sensitivity. You change your belief about it based on new information. That changes how you feel about it. But it was just now, at this moment, that you got that information that freed you from the thought and the feeling and the belief and the reality that that food was going to cause you difficulties. Yeah, things are happening right now because they're meant to be happening right now. You're getting validated on a lot of energy that you had been looping in before. Here we have unrequited love. That's very interesting because this came up as a theme in pick 1, so you may resonate with that as well. But it's like you're learning something about unrequited love, what is and what isn't love. Our expectations love, no, our conditions on being liked or accepted love, no. These things cause stress and are abusive when we try to manipulate or coerce somebody into doing what we think is better for them or us. Okay. That's something you're learning, and now I don't know which side of that you're on at this point, but if that resonates with you, we're going to keep going with this reading, okay? And let's see what else Spirit has to say about that situation. You are being invited to believe and trust, and to bring your vibration up to the place of having faith, because you have access to faith. And that's where you'll be shielded from kind of lower densities, and you'll see that big picture view that will really help you make the decisions that you are meaning to make and that needing to make. There, you can lean on your God and angels for support. That you can recognize that there have been karmic relationships in your life that were there for the purpose of teaching you something. You know, maybe these were people who were expecting of you and putting pressure on you to be a certain way, perform a certain way, be what they expected, or take their advice, or stop on your path so that you wouldn't inconvenience them anymore. When really these were just like, that was their role so they could help you learn something about relating. And there's just more for you to see here. Maybe recognition of your feminine side, rebirthing yourself into your inner calling, which may cause endings for you in your life, perhaps with karmic relationships, like breaking out of the cycle. You know, there's always a hidden benefit on why we stay in something that's actually harmful and painful, you know, as a lesson. And some karmic relationships may not be as painful as others, but it looks like you are being called to recognize that there's a new leg of your journey ready for you. So even if these same people would stay in your life, it would be from a different angle, where you were able to honor something, or you could be honored, where your needs and your everything could be honored. Yeah. Maybe there's something here that is entertaining that you were bringing to Earth, that there's a sacrifice to be given for what you aimed to experience and learn. Interesting. It's talking about a deepening attraction, paying attention to detail, focus, practice. There's some sort of details here that will allow you to sort things out and understand and release them easier. Yeah, we often do feed ourselves a fantasy or a story that will help us cope with things that are meant to leave. So that's something to be looked at. You may be experiencing a lot of nostalgia and have like your success is always ahead. It's like in the planning stages. It's always in the planning stages or something. There's hidden things that have not been revealed yet, and there's a turning point on them. And with your great intelligence, all things will come to light and be made clear as your curiosity pulls you in the direction of the answers and solutions you seek. It does show a female here, a friend. And perhaps this, I feel like, because this seems like a kind, loving person, that this is the karmic partner. And it's like maybe they're just in the wrong role in your life or something like that. 10th house, Cancer, Venus, Saturn. Show publicly your love, how you love freely and without restriction. Be welcoming of love and of giving love. That's what this advice is saying. That's very interesting. Pay attention to dreams, it's saying. Visit mom's house. So again, mom could be the karmic kind of thing. You know, it could be that you're reliving or retracing some of the things, the patterns that were created in your relationship with mom. You know, we got fantasy here and be here, present. So in this case, it's saying that the fantasy is causing you to be able to go off track. Because if you're here and you're present, then you're not in the space of wishing, wanting, or hoping for it to be different than it is. And filling in the blanks of all the mystery with whatever it is you want to tell yourself. Okay. Okay. Well, that's very interesting and blunt. So if that was, you know, activating in you, just take some deep breaths here. And you have a choice to not abandon yourself through the feelings that are arising now due to this being brought to your attention. Okay? So it's time to be still, present, loving, and accepting of yourself on the deepest levels. These deep levels that have been hurt and are waiting for you to love them unconditionally. Okay? That's going to conclude your reading on pick 2, and I hope you find that helpful in some way. And we're going to go to pick number 3. Okay. Pick number 3. What's pick number 3 going through here? Pick number 3. Maybe feeling a little bit pessimistic towards a certain topic, but the tension is very low level, low lying. You might even express yourself about it like through jokes or something, through some like passive aggressive way, or just like optimistic way, some way that keeps it light and sunny and not like not bullying. And maybe that's because you know your energy is so powerful that you do have to be careful with your pessimism, because maybe it's caused people to not love you very much before when you boom with your disapproval for them and their ways and things like that. And just being pessimistic in general is something that you came to experience but have the will, desire, and strength to overcome. And I feel like you're doing this today, like within the day here. You've found ways to overcome some of your pessimistic views. Maybe just looking at how it's not worth it anymore, and just looking at the ways that you can feel more content, and the ways that you are content. And actually this is continuing. It's a 5-day stretch now that they're mentioning. So look at the 5 days surrounding this one. You're being shown a different view that you hadn't seen before. You are being able to look under the surface of things that you hadn't seen before. You might even feel really protected and really looked over when it comes to like being shown this so gently and in such a way that it frees you, but you didn't have to suffer to be free from it. And I think the expectations that were put on you as a child, or that you have been putting on your children, whether it just be for their ability to support themselves, or succeed, or follow a certain rule, or anything like that, I think those are being eroded eroded in a way, just like the falsity of what's required in actuality to be a parent is just that we protect them. You know, our expectations are not that useful, that we might need to make room for them to be driven by their own urge. So we don't want to create a situation where their urge is more to rebel than to be a contributing member of society. Yeah, taking it that the solution is not coming from where the problem was created. The solution is coming from the ethereal realm. Reconciliation, that there may be some amends to be made through the discontent that was created in relationships with the pessimism. Yeah, coming back together between you and others that you'd committed to, after looking down below the surface and really appreciating that view down there, and being more open to changing how you feel about it. Okay, it's very interesting. Let me pull the rest of the cards here and see what else Spirit has to say about your situation. Okay. This situation is already resolved, it says. So it's talking about you getting a different perspective, and this would assume that you've already got the different perspective. Maybe you already have done processing, or maybe you're still processing. But just like holding the space for you to figure it out is going to help, which is the same as prayer. Prayer is just putting your energy towards the outcome that you know is in the highest of all. The highest good for all involved. Lifting the veil, questioning everything, anything unaligned must go. Yet really opening yourself up to be purified, I think, is what's going on here. And some of that pessimism was just stored in you, and it needed to come up to be seen. That's all. Forge, don't follow. Pave a new path. Be the leader you wish you had. Yeah, you're not following anyone's footsteps. You're going where no one's gone. So that's why you're being tested in this way, to show that you can stand on your own in an unpopular view. It's fine, you know. You can learn from that too, and learn that there are ways to present your unpopular view that don't hurt everybody. Tapestry of life and expression. Yeah, just expressing with grace, expressing with love, expressing with understanding. I think there are certain things you may have hidden from yourself in order to stay balanced. But the light's being shined on them. That's why you're shifting your view, and your priorities are shifting as well. Yeah, I think you have guidance available to you that's very helpful. The assistant messenger to Zeus, this says. So it's like important information is being given to you by a trusted source. Wild card. There's mystery here. Not everything will be known. And actually you got 2 wild cards, and I actually made an effort to take most of the wild cards out of that deck. Okay, so that's interesting. Teamwork, improving skills. So there is something about working with other people. It's something about this creak creak in the communication issues showed you where your strengths and weaknesses are in collaboration, in trusting others, in working together, in respecting others. So some illusion has been crumbled now since, and maybe now this has also revealed to you a new idea. Like from here, this shifted view is bringing you to new opportunities that are very just and right for who you are and what you've been doing and the efforts that you have been putting in and what is in your soul's plan. Yeah, you definitely had a plan to come learn some things and knew that with this shiny energy, when you got all buffed out and ready to purify, that it would be time to step up. And that there would be a lot of loss, but that you wouldn't dwell on it. That eventually you would pick up the pieces and put them back together in a new way that was much more solid and much more real, much more invested. And you do this following your intuition and your guidance and using your courage, because you're going to have to do things and take chances where there's no guarantee. You're forging the way, so there's no one to follow. There's no one to show you how to do it. And this brings you to wishes coming true. New opportunity, new plans. Agreements, being in your integrity, love, and trust. Yeah, you're going to be brought into situations where you can learn to trust and love as a result of taking the risk and leaving behind the old cycles. The old point of view, which was keeping you in the old cycles. And something about social media is relevant here. So maybe this is the way you be seen, this is the way you are an example to others. It's possible that you have a reach with social media. I believe that you've been accumulating wealth, that you are living comfortably, that you are a very generous provider, and that you have been coming into union with yourself and preparing to be in union with another. Yeah, as soon as you kind of clean this up and stop looking at the losses, I think that's when you'll be fully in this new freedom to proceed with the lesson under your belt. Yeah, we got strategy, so it's like your mind does like to figure things out, make a plan, but doing it from this balanced place of comfort and with the input of your intuition. Considering other people in the equation as well as yourself. See, some people have the opposite problem where they'll only consider others, and some people have the problem where they'll only consider themselves. But it's really nice when we can come into balance and consider ourselves and others. And so I believe that the formula would dictate that you consider yourself first and then the other. Because once we've considered ourselves, it becomes much easier to consider the other. We've got our base covered, right? Look at where you may be glossing over with other people. Where are you trying to win their favor by being nice when it's actually not nice to you? It's not kind or right to be deceptive and tell people just what they want to hear or what they expect of you. Yeah, bringing this into your day-to-day life and how you feel. Like really getting pure in that and making a plan for doing so. By being fair to all parties, I think. Okay, so then you got they have secrets, playful approach, multiplying the benefits, passion only, time to move, and seeing a new perspective. Seeing something and thinking you know it right away, but actually there's more layers of it. Okay. So, I'm going to say that you've learned what it's like to only have the passion when you go at a relationship. And I think that was an important perspective for you to gain and have. And I think you're moving out of that perspective with the knowledge that you gain from having it. I think that you know that there's some sort of deception going on. Here they have secrets and deception. And moon. Moon is where things are unclear. We had moon over here as well. And we had the cards that had no information on them, which I call my mystery cards. So there's a lot about this situation that is being hidden and kept from you on purpose. It's like need to know basis, right? Because we got the messenger of the god. Like Zeus couldn't do telepathy. Come on now. Why would he need this assistant? But this messenger delivered messages from Zeus to other people. So if this assistant, if the message that was given from other people to other people was in any way distorted, you know, then the message, I imagine that great chaos could ensue. So I think this intuition, the need for using intuition is like, it's like you've been put in this situation of illusion so that you're forced to use your intuition to find your way out and trust yourself and learn to trust yourself. And it is suggesting a playful approach will be most beneficial to you as well. That you are set up to do this. You're completely able to do this. It's just like you're going to treat yourself how you've treated others. And really get good with your own, trusting your own intuition and being good with your own integrity. Meaning, you know, being in line with your own values, what's important to you. Okay? Having courage, it is going to take some courage, so you're not going to feel sure at every step of the way. But if your intuition says something, you do it before it makes sense. It's not going to make sense, and if you question it away, like your intuition is just like this silent knowing. It's not a manipulative energy. It's not going to try to coerce you. It's not going to try to defend itself. It's just something that is a piece of information that should be respected and honored because it's there for you. And if you scrutinize it away, all it does is raise flags and put you in the vibration of not trusting yourself, which gives you anxiety. But you can trust yourself. You do have all the experience you need to make your way out of this. Okay? I hope that's helpful, pile 3. And I'm going to conclude your reading there. And we're going to move on to air. Okay, so if you chose air, I'm going to start by asking the oracle what's going on with you. And then we're going to look at the oracle cards here that tell us what Spirit has to say about it. Okay, so you got forgiveness. I'm just still digging in the oracle. I don't know if you can hear me. Just trying to mix them up real nice. The truth. Balancing the scales. Great wisdom. Anchoring in wisdom. The truth, which offers forgiveness. For acting passionately. Holding a judgment. Oh wow, this is like coming out in every pile. Clytia, which is unrequited love and blind desire, and we got Leo expressing. So, it's very interesting, but here we've got fresh growth. Aquarius, which is the humanitarian. I know all of these are in your view here, so I'm going to try to lower them down. And then 48 hours. Oh, wow. Okay. Some sort of, the scale's going to be set in balance within 48 hours. A scale that's been out of balance for like 5 years or something. Whoa. Okay. It's going to give you something to look at, to reflect back on, to see yourself through your reaction to it, your response to it, your thoughts about it, your witnessing of it. You're mastering something. It's something stressful, right? So it's not a pleasant thing that you're experiencing. But you are healing from something maybe where you didn't consider yourself in the big picture. There was a wounding pattern where you kept repeatedly spending a lot of time cycling around emotional issues, getting your fire burnt out. It's like water was poured on your fire repeatedly. Yeah. Water was poured on your fire repeatedly. And it's time to find forgiveness around the truth of that. So there may be some ways to feel about it at first, right? Some ways that aren't like so forgiving. There's some ways that cause stress, some ways that cause disappointment. You may have already done this healing from that, though. You may be past that part, and you may be on to this part where you're seeing the truth and how much you were able to grow and how resilient you really are and how much you've mastered about yourself and how you handle difficult situations like this. Okay. Let's see what else these oracle cards have to say about this situation. Guarded and protected. New beginnings and a fresh start. Okay, so if you are finding the truth and the forgiveness in the situation and you've mastered what you needed to know from that repeated disappointing cycle, it's time for you to move on out of that cycle, end that cycle, and start fresh. You're being guided. You are being protected. This is like it's like you're in a simulation where you'll only experience this thing until you get it right. Okay? Yeah, it's like a calling. You feel it calling you. There's something to step into here that the wisdom you've gained is going to be useful toward it. That you can now show appreciation for the experiences you had, no matter how unpleasant they were at the time. Twins, you may have been involved in a twin flame journey that was painful and definitely growth-inducing. Okay? Maybe even one where there was not very good communication because you didn't hear me. But you are going through this change, this time of change, and you can see the new opportunities. You're being called towards them, but it's hard for you to believe because you've been disappointed so many times. And that's just a little bit of residual stuff from the cycle. Okay? So that needs to be acknowledged, validated, and loved. Just time to reflect on what that is. Why it makes sense that we get... we hold on to our potential for being disappointed after having been disappointed several times in a row. It just makes sense, right? But you are meant to shine in this next part of your journey. So you will be leaving that behind. You'll be chalking this up to experience that you were meant to have. Experience that teaches you about love, teaches you about the view of your brother, the brotherly man, and what it's like to actually predict what will happen and what that means and how that works. that one thing can be true and the opposite is also true at the same time. I think you've learned a lot about that. It's really freed your mind, loosened it right up, I can feel. Reliable, hardworking, yeah. Quiet, hidden depth. I believe you are quite a worker. Capricorn energy comes to mind, but just someone willing to really dig in to see it through to completion. And maybe you are often misunderstood, and maybe you're not very good at communicating these things about yourself. Maybe that's why some of the issues came up in the first place, because communication wasn't good. You didn't hear me. But there's a lot of care and love here, and this like potential of a wish come true. And a lot of passion to move forward in it, and with it, and towards it, and through it. So if that's where the call is going, it looks like, yeah, you're going to head there when you clear up this misunderstanding, because you have what it takes. You do follow through on things. As soon as you clear up this doubt, it looks like you're going to go. Yeah, you're kind of, the stillness that you're in while you clear it up is also kind of dual nature. Like your $1 million idea, your strategy, your knowing for what you need to do next is all going to come, during this stillness. Yeah, because there are some things that you wanted to do with this information, some things to complete. You got union, lovers, partnership, twins, soulmate. So you got twin twice here, so that's interesting. So you may resonate with the twin flame journey, but just go with what that means to you. I don't recommend really buying into everybody else's view of it, because I think there's a lot of things that are misleading about it out there. And what could this imply? Yeah, opening back up to the limitless possibilities that exist before we decide something. If that was just an experience, do we have to decide something for all time based on it? Or can we look at it as an experience that enlightened us, that told us more about the truth, let us figure out more about who we are and what we look like when we reflect on ourselves, through the reflection of each other, and what it looks like when we drag our feet, and what it looks like when we doubt ourselves, and all that kind of stuff. Ask body. So getting in touch with what our bodies need and want. We got union here. Look, union twice. I mean, this reading's all twinny. Dang. Yeah. Okay, alright. Just looking over here for more things about twins. Now that it got my attention. Okay, so these are advice cards, so it's telling you that there's some union available to you that you may not have seen because you were in this other view. What is in front of me? It'll be in front of you. Jupiter. Jupiter is a beneficial energy, an influence that is beneficial. It makes everything bigger. Look, we got Ask Body and Jupiter. Like maybe there's been some weight gain lately. Healer. Healer of unions. Healer of weight gain. Just healer of any doubts. Healer of any fears, healer of any lack of forgiveness, healer of any stress, healer of any unrequited love. Yeah, healer of anything keeping us from going towards our opportunities that we're called to. It says yes. Your advice is yes. Say yes, do it, yes. Whatever you were thinking just then, yes. Be creative. Diamond in the rough. So, yeah, you're being put under pressure to release your shine. Work together. Holy shit. Like, whoever you are meant to collaborate with, like, they really want this to happen. And zoom out for big picture view. Alright. Wow, Pal 4. That was intense, and yeah, wow, I'm just kind of taking it in on a deeper level also, because I actually, when I was dealing them out, I knew that that was going to be my pile, but I didn't know what it was going to talk about it. I wasn't paying attention to what cards went to it. I was just feeling that I knew that one was the message for me. So I'll take a look at it more in depth later, because I kind of try to step out of the way and let whatever information comes through so I can always gain more from it later, which is kind of a neat thing I've discovered about my own pick-a-card readings. So that will complete your reading, Pile 4. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I hope it's helpful for you too. Now we're going to go to Scorpio. Okay, pick 5. If you chose Scorpio, this is your reading. We're going to go to the Oracle bucket first and ask what's going on with you. The Goddess of War and partnerships. A different perspective, digging into the depth and core of someone, closing the cycle on that. Closing the cycle on being so tied to somebody else's feelings, and the monotony of doing that over and over again all the time. Maybe digging for treasure and not finding any. Maybe instead planting seeds for new growth. And somehow the reputation works here. It's like maybe you have a reputation for rejuvenation. And it does talk about, you may be looking at your own astrology right now. You may be an astrologer. You may be just like interested in having an astrology reading, which might be helpful to you. Especially focusing on looking at your 7th house and maybe even putting the asteroid called Sisyphus into your chart. And Era and Flora, Fama, to just see where these play out. This is the 5th harmonic, so you could even look at your 5th harmonic chart if that was something that you're into. The 5th harmonic shows our gifts, our creativity, and let's see what else they have to say about this. Something here is leading towards your destiny, but you got to use your free will to get there. Yeah, okay. You went where you didn't want to go. You had to repeat a cycle of war and sticking up for yourself, and as a result, you learned what you are good at, your weaknesses and your strengths, and some special gifts that you have. And this is kind of like, yeah, I think you will be known for these gifts. I think it's your destiny to go forward with them, but you do have to use your free will to break out of the pattern of doing the same thing over and over again. And I think it had to do with relationships, partnerships. Once you break out of this pattern of doing the same thing over and over again and take this fresh start, this seed planted on a new idea, a new way of being, I think that gets you a lot of recognition and breaks you out of this, like, need to always deep dive as well. Like, I think you'll just be living much more peaceful life, but also not afraid to go into the dark where needed, because it seems like you've been down there, you dipped there plenty of times. Maybe just very wholesome and whole, feeling whole, you know, and very authentic, able to share both sides of yourself, all sides of yourself. Alright, this is interesting. Yeah, look at this. Free will, free spirit. Like, yeah, you're like free range here. And you have a mind that says, I can do it and I can do whatever I want. And you know that timing has a lot to do with a lot of things, and that anything that doesn't serve you anymore, you can just cut it out. Stop telling that story. Put your focus elsewhere. Take what you are meant to learn from it and move forward in the direction of what you prefer. Whew. Wow. Okay. Well, pick 5. Let's move on to see what the rest of these cards have to say for you, to you. It's time to leave this unhealthy situation. Yeah. You already knew it was unhealthy. You knew you didn't really want to keep doing it. Okay? But it was necessary, and so this isn't to shame you, it's just to say, yeah, it is time. You did good. Yep. Respect yourself. You have earned your own respect, and it's important for you to hold yourself in high respect. Yeah. You've done this before, right? This is why you came to do it. This part you've already done. You had a plan in your soul to do this and to break free in this way and to seed this possibility on earth at this time. You are love. You are a being who knows the importance of self-love, because you understand that without valuing and filling up your own cup, you run the risk of being imbalanced in relationship with others, which causes an issue. Yeah, somehow what is the issue? I mean, it didn't specify, did it? So I think there's just a general way that you'll feel about this, okay? I remember, soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. So what this was is the fate was that you would complete this loop, that you'd do that several times. So you'd learn about it. Destiny is where you're going now that you know. Okay? Now that you know, you can go forward with what you know. You can see what you see. You can admit that you're distracted at times, that you had been distracted, that you're free to create the new story that includes limitless possibilities, that you really are much more free to create than you may realize, that particularly you have completed something that you came to complete, and now that it's complete, you're free. Go do what you want to do. Forgiveness is coming up for a second time here, and I believe, wasn't that what we started with? Forgiveness? Maybe that was the last reading. We had partnerships being an issue, destiny, projector. We had no forgiveness. There's just some cycle you were staying in that kept you at war with yourself, okay? So there may be a need to forgive yourself or another. Someone that kept you in that cycle was doing you a service. Maybe they won't understand when you step out of that cycle, but that's what happens, right? A fool is how you step out of the cycle. You decide, I'm going to take a step into the unknown. I don't know what will happen if I do this differently, but this is what I'm willing to do. Oh, here's another forgive. Please forgive me, and will you forgive me? So, a lot of forgiveness to be given and had across this lesson here, this soul contract. There was a lot of relationships with others that maybe needed some forgiveness because there was no understanding that brought you guys together in connection. But there's fresh view here. There's new opportunity for it. There's mending of broken hearts available now. And this all is available because your free will, because of your free spirit. That's it. That's the only thing that can create this. Otherwise it just stays stuck in the same old pattern it's always been in for all of time. Like, your free will creates this. Your choice. And you may still have a belief about there not being enough. That is one thing that you may be looking at here. Using your free will to override and having the courage to venture out on something, believing that it's safe to have faith in something that you were guided to, that your urge led you towards, that your intuition planted the seed for. The law of correspondence is something that you might want to look into. Lotus, which is, you know, a beautiful flower that emerges from the mud. It's buried deep in the muck and has to traverse a lot to come out and bloom. And this says gender manifests on all planes. And so I think it's recognizing that both masculine and feminine energies are involved in needing to be balanced in this. That where you reside may be important. Biography. Yeah, that maybe some like other details that you wouldn't have even known play into this are factors. Yeah. There's influences here that you may not understand or know about that are still influencing. You may be feeling a lot of passion to go forth with your free will. And it's important to maybe take a pause before you do and make sure that you are aligned with your own integrity, with your own intuition. So that what you do is when you take steps forward, you're taking them in self-love and self-respect, knowing that all parties are honored. And you're leaving behind the struggle and the expectation that there will be a war in response to your changing your view, which may be one of those subconscious loops that you're fighting against, right? You don't want to dirty up your reputation by taking a step out of what everyone's been expecting you to do and how they've been expecting you to act in relationship because of the way you've always been doing it. But this is a loop now that's in your shadow that you've been kind of holding yourself prisoner to, a pattern that's not really who you are. So you may need to forgive yourself and others for allowing you to stay in that pattern. It's an unhealthy pattern, and it forgets to respect you fully. But you wanted to experience it up to this point so that you could break free using your free will. This may involve some loss and a breakup. This may... You're definitely going to be stepping into a place where there's unknown, mystery, secrets, you know, that you'll need to discover new things yet. And this is going to come through when you take in that resting space where nothing's wrong, where it's perfectly great that you're just sitting still with yourself, then you can come to the realization. What is igniting you? What is inspiring you? What is it that is calling you? And then maybe there'll be something to look into. Maybe you'll just get a thought or a knowing or an idea, and then you need to like look a little bit deeper, like use these detective skills that you have and enjoy. Use your intuitive skills that you have and enjoy. Anytime you get drained in the process, just stop to refill your own cup. You know, it's your habit to give past what you have to give. So in order to change that pattern, you know, you may need to like implement a new plan, which is to stop and refill your own cup every once in a while. Learn to say no where no is needed. Set your intention for what you're doing. So if you have to say no to somebody, set the intention that it's in the highest good for all and that the outcome is in accordance with the highest good of all. And don't expect to have to defend yourself. Defense is the first act of war. The truth just is. So all on how you state it to somebody, like when you tell somebody, I feel worn out and can't do this, or I feel my heart is calling me in this direction. You've told them an I statement. You've owned what it is that you're sharing. They can't take it from you, right? They can't take it from you. It's part of you. And if you've owned that as part of you, they can reject you, but they are rejecting you and your own wishes. And so align with the intention that you want. And that intention is that your wishes will be honored in accordance with the highest good for all. Second house, your self-worth, your possessions, and how you make a living. Check in with all of those things. Don't forget to celebrate how far you've come. You've made it up to this point. That's something worth celebrating. Valuing, I think you are a person who values your family. And you have very good friends that you honor. And you find yourself being a very patient person. And as you go into this new life, you may want to include all of these things, right? And it may just take some patience with these things to catch up to you in your new life. You offer unconditional love to these things to go through whatever war that they have inside themselves that's keeping them from being on board with your highest good for you. And love them unconditionally so that they have the place to come join you in your new life, if that's what you wish for. Commitment, marriage, interesting. So there's something about committing. When you make a commitment to something and then you follow through, you gain a certain amount of ground for yourself. So I think there's something with that too. Like when you take these steps using your free will, take a step that you've committed to taking and then follow through with it and see if that helps you build the ground that you need. It looks like you are a person that's willing to take the steps here. Okay. Failure to communicate and turning inwards, apathy. So I think that is maybe where the block came in your journey. It's like you knew there was some change to make, and then you knew that the people around you weren't going to accept you exactly for making that change, and then instead of being able to communicate that change to the people that you love, your family, your friends, about the new way that you want to live your life, you were unable to, and then that has caused you to now turn inwards and kind of take a look at deeper why that is, and what you'll need to do to adjust or compensate for that in your life now that you have identified it. Okay, wow, pick 3. That was very interesting, and I hope that you find that helpful in some way. I appreciate you spending your time with me, and maybe we'll see you next time.